Thank you very much. We are now joined by the Secretary General of the UDA party, the SG of the ruling party, Cleopas Malala, to give us some of the insights about the upcoming elections in the UDA party and what was discussed during this week in terms of the elections. Thank you so much, SG, for your time. Chama ikoaje?
Chama iko imara kabisa. Yeah, we are well prepared for the elections. As you all know that earlier this week, we had the National Steering Committee meeting, which is a subcommittee of the National Executive Committee. And the NSC resolved that we are going to conduct our elections as earlier planned. You remember we are supposed to do these elections last year in December, but due to logistical issues, we postponed the elections to April. We live to our words by conducting these elections this April. On April 26th, we have decided that we are going to conduct these elections in 4 phases. So we have the first 7 counties, which we are going to roll out elections in the first phase. We are having 7 counties. Thereafter, we shall have the second phase in June, when the schools go for half-term. And then the third and fourth phase will be done in August before we start planning for the National Delegates Conference. That said and done, you all know that any party elections is carried out by the National Elections Board. Earlier this week, in the same sitting, we were able to nominate and appoint members of the National Executive Board, members of the Internal Dispute and Resolution Committee, and members of the Disciplinary Committee. All these organs are very important in conducting any elections, and we are confident enough that with the preparations that we have made, we are going to have a very credible election and free and fair elections, of course, to all the candidates. Our elections are going to start from the polling centers. We are going to have people elected from the polling centers. We want to have 20 officials in every polling center in Kenya. We have almost 27,500 polling centers in Kenya. We are going to ensure that we have 20 officials in every polling center. Thereafter, we're going to escalate higher to the ward level, subsequently to the constituency level, then the county level. Now we will get delegates who will now form the electoral college that is coming to vote at the National Delegates Conference. And therefore, we are confident enough. The preparations are top-notch. And we are saying that this is the first grassroots election that is going to be conducted electronically. We have already purchased enough electronic and digital gadgets that are going to be uploaded with our party register and the requisite software to conduct these elections. We are going to have instant results. 2 minutes after the polling station is closed, we have results.
This is the ruling party.
This is the governing party, not ruling party, governing party.
All right, SG. So in terms of the challenges that you had, you said you had some logistical challenges. What were they?
Of course, you know, we had issues about importation of the gadgets. You know, importing almost 27,000 iPads that will be in every polling center. You require at least every polling center should have an iPad, which a tablet, I mean, which is going to be uploaded with the software.
And there are also some concerns, apart from the logistical issues, that some members from the Mount Kenya region were not sitting pretty with having 3 deputy party leaders. Is that the case?
No, we have a constitution that is, you know, UDA is a young party, where we formed it 2 or 3 years ago, and therefore our constitution is a constitution that we adopted for registration of the party, but it's subject to amendments. One of the businesses in the National Delegates Council conference, I mean, that the NDC, when we meet for the elections, the first agenda will be amendment of the constitution. We have some clauses that we need to align with the aspirations of the party, and therefore we are going to suggest some amendments. As it is right now, we have, of course, 3 deputy party leaders, but those are some of the amendments that we are looking into to ensure that we align our party so that it's a party that has a good structure, a formidable structure, and we are going to make proposals for the amendment of the constitution. So we shall do the amendments first, have the right constitution, and then subsequently now conduct the elections at the National Delegates Conference.
Okay. So what you're saying is there's a possibility to have only one deputy party leader?
Of course, subject to suggestions from members, it is something that members will decide. And therefore, it is not my personal feeling or my personal view on the matter. It is a matter that will be go through membership participation, go through leadership participation, and it's a decision that will be arrived at the National Delegates Conference. And therefore, it's not a decision of one person. So I cannot say that I want one deputy party leader or I want 3 deputy party leaders. The members of the UDA party will make that decision.
Okay. But was there any concerns, as I've already mentioned to you?
There are no concerns. There are so many other clauses that we are looking into amending. Like, for example, we want a definite youth council, youth league. We want a definite women league. We want a women league whereby the leader of the youth league is elected all the way from the polling center to the National Delegates Conference.
Okay. I assume that you're also going to be on the ballot for the SG position. Who are these other candidates that you've had that also gunning for your position?
No, at the moment we have only opened up for registration of candidates from the polling center to the county level. We haven't opened up registration for the national officials. As to when that window will be opened, I'll be able to render my candidature as Secretary General, able Secretary General, and I want to assure you, imeenda. Imeenda kabisa.
But SG, there are people who are complaining about your style of leadership.
In what form?
People were complaining, they're saying that you're not running the party as they wanted it to be run.
No. You know, a vibrant party, in a vibrant party, you'll expect divergent views. And as a leader, even right now, we have a very able president, but we have still people complaining. And therefore, it is normal for people to have divergent views about your style of leadership. But I believe we have made UDA more vibrant than it was before. And therefore, there is no human being who is perfect. And leadership is a learning process. And I'm ready to be to walk that route, to be inducted slowly into the leadership space. Of course, 1 or 2 mistakes, but that's how people learn, and I'm optimistic that I'll come out a better person than I was.
That's the best way to go. Yeah. And your party leader was also here, and what did he discuss with you members?
Of course, he chaired the National Steering Committee, and he emphasized on the issue of party democracy. He emphasized that these grassroots elections must be free and fair.
And as we also bring it to a close, when you came into office, you came with a lot of vigor, valor, and a lot of optimism to fold the other parties in Kenya Kwanza and have them join UDA. How far is that agenda?
We are now at the tail end of that discussion. Of course, we've engaged with our brothers, party led by Moses Kuria, very willing to dissolve. The other day you had my former party leader insinuating that, yes, we are getting into that last bit. I don't want to preempt, but I can tell you, in 2027, we shall have one formidable party to face the opposition, and that party will be UDA.
Are you sure about that, SG?
I'm certain.
But he said you cannot do that, SG.
No, it's a democratic world. You can choose to have your party, but what you're saying is that as we face the next general elections, we shall have one formidable party supporting the president.
And lastly, SG, the other side of the divide, the Azimio side, is saying you have failed as the governing council or governing party to lead the country, and they're saying they are going back to the streets. What would you say about that?
It's laughable. That's all I can say. It's laughable because
they will join the doctors.
You see, Emmanuel. We found this country when it was in the dungeons.
Gee, this is tired. It's already tired lying.
When they were going to the streets, Unga was at 263. Now Unga is at 98 shillings. Unga. Yeah. Unga is at 98 shillings.
Where?
And if you want real 2 kg Unga, you can even go to the posho mills. You'll get it at 70 shillings. Look at what he has done in terms of supporting the agricultural sector. he has been able to ensure that every farmer gets subsidized fertilizer. And therefore,
fake fertilizer?
Not fake fertilizer. Come on, you see, one or two instances cannot want to bring down the entire, the noble idea that the president launched. We have fertilizer. Last year, we got 66 million bags of maize. We harvested 66 million bags of maize, up from 44 million bags of maize. And therefore, as we are concentrating to deliver the manifesto we had as a ruling party during the campaigns, and therefore, we shall not be derailed.
So you are daring them to come to the streets?
No, you know, they have been in the streets since independence, and Kenya has been there, and it will still be there. So going to the streets is, I don't think it is. I think they are just trying to get relevance, because they've realized that Kenyans have now settled. Kenyans are now, we are creating more employment opportunities. You've seen our president even having diplomatic shuttle to ensure that we have Kenyans going to work abroad, and therefore, including Baba. Yeah, we've even scouted for a job for Baba, and therefore Kenyans have now started settling. And therefore, I think the issue of going back to the street is just a political strategy for them to start filling in the gaps of Baba, because they are ailing with the succession politics of Baba, and therefore I wish them well as they go back to the streets. But Kenyans will not go back to the streets, because Kenyans are busy planting, Kenyans will be busy top grazing, and Kenyans will be busy harvesting.
Thank you so much, SG.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's the SG of the ruling party. He says the governing council, the governing party, UDA, saying as it is that they're on top of things and the government is in charge of the affairs. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jesse.
Well, To, thanks for that conversation with the Secretary General of the UDA party, Cleophas Malala, giving us insights on the preparation so far, all to do with the grassroots elections that are set to start late April, as of April 26th, and are staggered all the way till December. Okay, let's start with the party man, since we've heard from the SG. UDA definitely preparing its elections. We've heard from the SG 20 representatives at each polling station. It'll be done electronically. It is staggered. So finally, we're having elections this month, Maliba. How important is this for the party in terms of setting structures within the grassroots as 2027 nears?
Number one, it's actually an issue of compliance. We have got a constitution that we gave ourselves as a party. The Registrar of Political Parties is only an enforcer of the laws we've given ourselves, first of all as a party, and secondly as a nation. So there are requirements in the Political Parties Act, and there are also some requirements in the UDA constitution. So we already were due for the election. So the Register of Political Parties also requires us actually to comply with that, our own law that we actually give ourselves. So first of all, it's a question of compliance. Very, very important that we comply with the Political Parties Act, we comply with the Constitution and the Constitution, the UDA Constitution. Secondly, it's important that as we get to midterm, during this watch, as we get to midterm, we start doing housekeeping, because we do not intend to be a one-term party. We intend to be a strong and real political party and not make UDA a special purpose vehicle. A party with over 7.3 million people cannot be a special purpose vehicle to win election and then run away with it. It doesn't make sense that 7.3 million people register to be members of UDA and then somehow you then bring it down. Those members need accountability. Those members need to be talked to. But as we go to the grassroots elections, number one is also to help us sort up the national elections that will be coming up eventually in December during the NDC. At the moment, we're dealing with the grassroots because that is where the elephant in the room is. We're talking about over 27,000 polling centers. By the way, it's at the polling center, and then at the polling center, the ward, the constituency, and at the county level.
Okay.
At each and every level, we are doing a minimum of 20 leaders. And then having 7 executives, members, of course, chosen from amongst the 20, to ensure that we have got a grassroots structure that has got the people's mandate. It's already a popular party, yes, with the biggest membership nationally, but it actually now we need to actually take the party back to the people to give it mandate.
Okay.
So that way, of course, it will prepare us, number one, even to reorganize government.
Okay.
Because now, with the structures that are recent, you get the voice actually streaming in from the bottom to the top. And even when we take our solutions from the top going down, the channels are clear and they are people-based.
Okay, well noted. And it's definitely usually a daunting challenge for parties to conduct this party elections, especially at the grassroots. You're a member of Azimio, and one of the parties, ODM, is actually set to have its election starting 27th of April, and it's staggered as well. Was this due to logistical issues, or you're avoiding a clash? A clash, Men in Black scenario.
I think first of all, it is good to appreciate that political parties in a multi-party democracy, political parties are actually exercising the provisions of law, particularly the basic requirements of political party, that demands of them that they must have a nationally elected governing body, they must allow people to participate in political processes, and they must ensure that they live to the true ideals of a party as provided by law. And to that extent, I have to congratulate ODM and UDA for having seen it fit that they pursue that. Number two, the staggering of these elections is important in two aspects. Number one, it is an Herculean task to conduct party elections. And we have seen it when they were doing party primaries. It is not an easy task because of vested interest. Politics is not a church service where you go and sit down and then when the party says stand up now we sing, you stand, you sit. No. Politics is naturally chaotic, and it is designed to be chaotic because the competing interests from within and from without. Number three, I agree that the reason why these elections, grassroots elections, must be staggered to give individual parties an opportunity to progress gradually. When they are done with the grassroots elections, they move to the next stage, and that shall have given them time to assess the issues that have happened before, where they need to fix, where they need to upgrade, and so on and so forth. And lastly, I believe that all political parties, after every election, must assess their suitability in terms of being in the political space, their membership status, and their leadership status. When we do that, then we shall be living to the true spirit of multi-party democracy. But one thing that I'm waiting to see, UDA is a fairly new party. Maliba keeps telling me every time we meet that, you know, they boast of 8 million members. But these numbers, it is only registered political parties that can tell us. We don't know the membership of UDA. So the registered political parties can actually tell us the actual membership of the UDA party is 8 million, 4 million, and the ODM the same. So we want to see from these elections that they're going to conduct. Remember, they have always accused other parties of being chaotic in the elections. This is the first time we want to see if UDA will actually have 24 offices in majority of the counties. We want to see the leadership. We want to see people participating, people like Arnold. We want to see them participating in the national election. We want to see him there because he is suitable. We also want to see if President William Ruto will actually convince Kenyans that the women that he has always been promising positions, 50% will be 50% in his party. Arnold, that is what we want to see.
And same thing with ODM as well. I mean, what's good for the goose is...
I am saying not only ODM, all political parties must adhere to the provisions of basic requirement of political parties in Article 91. And as they do so, they must also advance the multi-party democracy that we see. So it is a good thing, and we like it, but most importantly, let us do these elections without violence. Let us do these elections in a manner that is going to promote the representation of the minority, the young people like Arnold. I want to see Arnold in the National Executive Council of UDA. I don't want to see Arnold in the Secretariat. He is a qualified person, and today I'm saying this, he can't say it, but I'm saying it for him.
The party lines have been removed. Anyway, as you come in, and we've seen months of pushing and shoving within each of these parties, ODM, UDA, especially with the clamor around these party positions. How, from outside looking in, how would you advise for them to go forward?
Thank you. You know, earlier I mentioned, Jesse, I said we are a very young democracy, and Arnold tried to build a case for a strong Kenyan democracy. If Kenya is so democratic as we claim, speech-wise, yes, social media allowance, non-state interference with how people speak. We've achieved a lot on that.
Absolutely.
But whether we are a strong, democratically speaking, whether we are a strong nation, this is debatable a lot. I will tell you why. It is shocking and quite horrible that we are actually going to have party primaries staggered in 1 year. What does that speak to our economic conditions, our economic state? I mean, we need to go and trade, we need to go to the markets, we need to sell goats, we need to sell, whoever is selling a horse. We need to go on with our lives. And you know very well that Kenya is an agricultural economy, but politically led. The decisions of political leaders sort of try to actually dictate what kind of direction corporations are taking, what kind of direction farmers will take. I mean, you've heard of fertilizers, Mara, it is fake, now, oh, it is subsidized. Political behavior literally controls how citizens move, at least in Kenya. And this is why I said we are a young democracy. So you stagger an elections for 2 years, I mean, 1.5 years. We will do nothing during this time. And Mr. Okango has just hinted that the reasons why they stagger those elections is because there are serious political interests. He actually said it. I mean, I owe it to you, Okango. He said serious political interests.
Yeah.
So this serious political interest, Arnold, is what I call a completely babyish democracy. We are not mature because we go around other people's interests instead of our own.
Okay.
We cannot go to the shamba. We cannot go to work. You remember when, you know, after elections, when the losing party was not satisfied, we could literally not even come out of home. So the most annoying thing for me, Jesse, is this democracy where you allow people's egos to be assuaged. I mean, you know very well that people don't like you in a certain constituency, so you postpone elections there until the others around the country will come together and sort of mop up that constituency to supporting you. So I don't agree with this staggering. This election should be done within, I think, 2 weeks maximum. We should be done with primaries.
Despite the challenges.
Which challenges? The challenges of, you can, let me tell you, human life, the way we are, you can never satisfy one individual if you allow him lose to present his selfish interests. So even if it is the party leaders, even if it is the deputy party leaders, whatever, they should not impose such a long period of 1 year to do elections of just primaries. Let the people decide. If they like you, that's it. If they don't like you, that's it. Let us live to fight, another day. So I think I can still comfortably say, Arnold, that the intention of the Political Parties Act to hold primaries is democratic. Has it matured? The answer is clearly no. Because you will see, and starting this week, there will be a lot of court cases, there will be a lot of disputes in the political parties, dispute tribunal. There will be a lot of infighting for nothing. So I think the major thing here is reducing that period to 2 weeks. And let those who have been elected come up then now to the county level and the national level to elect their other leaders.
In a minute or so.
Number one, I still want to refer Wakili to the international standards that define what a democracy is. That number one, Kenya is rated. It's not we saying it seated here. We are rated internationally by the International Institute of Democracy to be a mid-range performing democracy. When he says that our democracy is babyish, he's not really serious. I'll just reduce that to 5 very quickly. Look at the main tenets, the 5 tenets of democracy. Number one, respect for human rights and the fundamental freedoms.
It is so low.
We are doing very well.
It is so low,
as compared to what? You can compare this a global index that you can compare to that. Number two, there is free and fair elections. That most times when we go to elections, we know that at least our vote will be counted. On that, we are doing much better. He knows in places where people...
I don't know if Okango says that.
I don't agree.
90%.
On the issue of free and fair elections,
let me move fast.
We have never lived with the general principle of democracy.
On everything else except the presidency, where there is only one constant person who does not agree. That is where he is. And then a pluralistic system. We are a plural system, a multi-party system. We are doing very well. We've got about 92 political parties now fully registered, and hundreds that are actually in the process of being registered.
But there are only two. Everybody's hoping towards UDA.
Then finally, there is finally there is the part of separation of powers and independence of those arms. But I want to agree with Okango in one word. That politics is so hard. People have actually talked about love being difficult. Politics is so hard that it turned PLO Lumumba into a philosopher and a motivational speaker. One of. So
let's not attack his character. It is what it
Actually,
is.
we are, what Arnold is doing is trying to use that as a case study, you know.
That is how politics is difficult.
Okay.
People have been spited in love and turned into poets and everything else. But here, I can tell you that in politics, people can even turn into preachers. You've seen even Fredo Murungi, he now preaches happiness. That is how difficult politics is.
Let's take a break on that note.
I lost,
It's not a walk in the
lost
park.
in the LSK.
But
I'm not a philosopher
But
yet.
if you have started a scholar,
He's turned into a philosopher. He's now and he's selling the business
With benefit of hindsight.
He's actually selling objectivity now
Okay,
as a philosopher.
let's take that short break. Thank you so much for staying with Inside Politics. We'll continue with the deliberations right here. Right after the break, we'll be back with the question around party hopping. Equally, we'll take a look at some of the concerns raised by Kalonzo Musyoka on NADCO implementation. All right, let's take that short break. I just want to read one comment before we do so. In the spirit of inclusivity as well, Don Sabwa says, the conflict of interest is too wide to be washed away in the scenario of being elected as UDA officers. The spirit of current constitution wants such to never happen. The attitude of Mtadu. We take a short break, we'll be back.